What is one AI supported instructional design activity that listeners could experiment with this week
So
that you
I
think
would
would be
tell
good?
them, find one of their objectives from any course that they've ever done. Just pick one objective, put it in one of these chat box and ask it for start with what are three different types of assessments for this objective? See what it produces. Find one that when one comes up and it says, whatever it is, then ask, hey, I would like to explore that one deeper. See what it produces, and just kind of go through that and see what it's producing, what it's giving you, and then I think you can start, expanding out on it, right? And start, but just get in there and try it. And again, you really learn these tools when you get in and do it. Right. You can take all the training all you want, but until you get in there and do it and actually start seeing how it goes and the flow runs, you just need to get in it. So that's what I would say. Take one of your objectives from any course and just see what it can start producing, and then start thinking about how it potentially could become part of, your design process. Where it would be helpful or where it wouldn't be helpful. That's another good question to answer, right? When not to use it. Um, so
Right,
just get in there and try it. But try it with something concrete, right? Something so that you can evaluate against it, and see what it's producing.
right. I like that.
And
Yeah, something that you already know or that you're familiar with, right? So you can see how well it's doing. One thing I've done a lot with the curriculum is if we're working on a revision for a course, I'll take an existing uh, discussion question or assignment, and if I need to tie it to standards, or if I'm like, I don't think this fits the objective very well, I'll stick it into our model and I'll give it the objective, right? Give it all the details and just do the same thing like what you're talking about. Can you give me 3 ideas to make this maybe more of an authentic type of assignment or discussion question? And does a pretty good job. I agree.
yeah,
And then you're
it-
right. I like that idea of honing in on one that you like and really digging deep into that. That's a
and
great idea. Yeah.
if you want like a way to extend when you do this, so if you put in like that one objective, right, and you're asking it to produce some three assessment ideas or whatever, before you hit enter, type in "ask me questions before responding," and what the system will do is it'll generate a bunch of questions, then just answer them. And you'll find you'll get a much more refined result. Now, sometimes you might want to limit how many questions they ask you because you might get 100, right? So,
Yep.
and you'll be
That's
spending the
true.
whole time trying to answer questions. So I usually say, ask me five questions, or I'll say, what are five things you would like to know before responding, right? And then it sometimes picks up on things that you might not have put in the prompt, and you might get to the result you're looking for a little quicker.
Right. That's true. I think that's important you brought that up with putting those, I wouldn't say limitations, but just parameters, right? Around give me 5 questions, because it's true. If I don't tell the tool, make sure this DQ is 150 to 200 words, it'll give me a mini assignment. And I'm like, oh, that's not what I wanted. It'll just go way too far. It's true. I mean, I don't know if the tool just wants to just spit out everything, or just, I don't know what it is, but I'm like, wow, that's way too much. So I've learned to put in those parameters a little bit better, and even ask the tool sometimes, put yourself in the role of an instructional designer. What would you do, in this situation? And I think it helps when you kind of give it that context, right? Of that
Yeah,
as well.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
there's some like basic prompting templates out there. Role, context, task, output is like a really
Mhm.
basic one, right? So if you tell it what role it is, basically what you're doing is you're narrowing the statistical probability, right? So you tell it the role, you tell it the context, right? And then you tell it what you want it to do, and then you tell it what the output you want it to be in, right? And you generally get, if you can meet all of those, you generally get a better result than just like a simple, question prompt.
Right. That's so true. Yeah. It's amazing when you start playing with these tools and experimenting with it. Like you said, until you start getting in there and using it, you really won't know what works and what doesn't for your context and your situation until you experiment with it and just give it a
Yep.
try, right? It's the best
Yes,
thing to
absolutely.
do.